Welcome to the 2023 special town meeting run through. Tonight we're going to be running through every single article on the town meeting warrant for Monday. My goal tonight is really to just provide sort of an education. So people, I've found in the past, sometimes we get to town meeting and we'll be explaining what it is we're voting on. And a lot of the questions have more to do with process than anything else. So my goal is to kind of give people the opportunity to weigh in on the town meeting process, be enlightened as to what it is these articles that are in front of them will do, and to answer any questions about process. What I'm not trying to do is provide a soapbox for people to advocate one way or another, because there's plenty of time for that and on Monday night. Merely just if there's any questions about mechanisms or process, or how this money is appropriated, what the heck is an enterprise fund, I'm thinking that's what we can answer tonight. So tonight I have several members of the select board here. We have the chair, Mike Morelli. We have Olean Burgos. We have Jason Cooter. Thank you so much for coming. We have Mendon's town administrator, David Demange. Thank you so much. We have Laura St. John Dupuis from the, who's the select board's administrative assistant. Thank you all for coming. We have Ann Mazar, who is from the Community Preservation Commission and Land Use Committee, among other things, who's also going to be able to answer any questions about the articles the CPC sponsored. And yeah, so let's dive into it. I know our chair, select board chair, Morali, has provided a slideshow for us with all of, or a PowerPoint with all of the warrant articles. So yeah, let's start with Article 1, why don't we?
All right, if you can see, Article 1 is, I move that the town will vote to transfer from free cash the total sum of $17,345.97 to pay bills of a prior year. And there are 4 bills of a prior year. They all have to be, this article has to be approved with a 9/10 vote, I believe, Mr. Moderator.
Correct.
You can see here on the screen, there are 4 bills of a prior year, which basically the fiscal year ended on June 30th. These bills came into the town sometime after the payment deadline, which is in July. And they're certainly owed, but because of the timing of it and the way that free cash gets certified at the end of the fiscal year, we need to go to town meeting to get these voted, even though they were in the budget for the previous year. So you can see there are five bills. The first one, $577.36 to Verizon. And again, it says an incorrect journal entry was made to another budget, then it was corrected. But once once everything was entered and reconciled, there was no money left available to pay it. Maya is the Massachusetts insurance organization, which all the cities and towns like Mendon use. This was a premium for to do with unemployment benefits. And it basically $7,862.31. And again, it had to do with timing and a change of personnel. But this was a bill that is owed for unemployment benefits. Kinshirf Accounting, which is interestingly enough our accounting firm, the invoice that came in the spring for $4,200 was missed, and Kinshirf Accounting sent this invoice to us through QuickBooks, And because there was no backup, the email went into the admin's email box. She was out for an extended time, and there was no backup. So the bill never went to anybody. No one knew it needed to be paid. The accounting firm didn't let us know because they didn't know it bounced back because of the way things were set up. And then the admin actually caught this as unpaid when the next one came in for the new fiscal year. And since it's been fixed, but it hadn't been paid and it is owed. So that's the 4,200. Quest Diagnostics, again, for a routine police physical for a recently appointed police officer. And the bill came in again after the end of the fiscal year, even though it was done within the previous fiscal year. And then the last one, Merisco, $4,572.73 for electrical services to do with street lights. And again, it just came in after the deadline for the fiscal year. It is owed, and those are the 5 bills of a prior year.
Okay. So when you say free cash, that is what?
Well, and you can see here on Article 2 where we talk about the balances. What happens is at the end of the fiscal year, once everything is added up, the accountants send it to the Division of Revenue, Department of Revenue, Division of Local Services, and they look at how much money we took in from the general fund through the general fund, and how much is left at the end of the year, and they certify a certain amount of money that we have left over that we didn't spend at the end of the fiscal year. And you can see on this screen, you can see the free cash that the town has that was certified by the Department of Revenue on October 19th, 2023, is $713,308. So this is money that we have available left over at the end of the fiscal year for us to spend during this fiscal year, or any time in the future we wish during this fiscal year. So when we talk about taking money from free cash, we're talking about taking this money, which the state of Massachusetts has certified that we have in the general fund that is not on budget, that's available for us to spend.
Yeah, thank you. Basically, it's money that we have available to spend on all these articles. Okay, so Article 2, moving money from the free cash into the stabilization account.
Stabilization account is like our town's savings account. And you can see the balances as of June 30th of 2023, at the end of the last fiscal year, there was $1,090,200 in stabilization. And our target for that is to have 5% of the year's budget in there. In addition to that, we have some other accounts, which is a capital expenditure account. For capital expenditures, we have $209,708 as of June 30th. Our other post-employment benefits account has $165,387, and we have a liability, which is what we owe for all of the retired employees for their other benefits, based on the Commonwealth of Massachusetts calculations. We, like every other city in town, have a significant liability, and this OPEB account is our attempt at, as a placeholder, so to speak, until the state comes up with another way, whether we come up with Medicare for all or something that would significantly alter the way that we pay for these post-employment benefits. This is where we're at. So I put that number in here right up front, because usually at a special town meeting, someone will ask about these numbers. But to get to this article, the question is, why are we putting $175,000 into stabilization? Back at the annual town meeting last May, we actually had 2 articles where we took money out of stabilization. And what the board felt and the finance committee agreed is that at this point we should at least put the money we took out of the savings account in the spring back in now. So that's why we want to take that sum of 175,000 from the free cash of 713,308 and put it back into stabilization. And once we do that, it'll have about 1.2 million in it, a little over that, 1.265, I think. And that will put us above target.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Yeah, so basically, unlike the first article, this is a simple majority to pass, simple majority to move money into the stabilization account, but if we ever want to move money out of the stabilization account, it's a 2/3 vote. So, do we want to move to the next one?
And in this case, we want to take 100,000 from free cash and put it into the CapEx account, capital expenditure account. So you can see based on the numbers from the last slide, now CapEx will have 309,708. And at this point, we're not planning to take any money out of CapEx at this special town meeting, but we are looking at what our needs are so we can prioritize them. But after this transfer, this is the number that will be left in CapEx, which is $309,708.
Now, CapEx account is structured very similarly to a stabilization account, correct? In that if we wanted to spend out of it, it would be a 2/3 vote. I believe.
I will not disagree with you, Mr. Moderator. I believe that's correct.
So just these are other savings accounts for people who might be watching later or now. CapEx stabilization. These are other different forms of savings for the town.
In order to put it into stabilization or capital expenditure, it's a simple majority. To take
Right.
it is a 2/3.
Right. It's just to take it out.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's always easier to put it in than it is to take it out.
Which is exactly how it's set up.
Right.
How it's supposed to be.
I
Right.
agree. Right.
Okay. Moving on, Article 4.
And again, in this case, it's a $5,000 transfer from free cash to the other post-employment benefits or OPEB liability trust fund. And again, with this transfer, our OPEB trust fund will be 170,387, which is a very small amount. But keep in mind, one of the benefits we've always paid 75% of a town's retirees' health benefits, meaning their health insurance. Although state law requires only 50%. We have always paid 75%, but we may this year, after a discussion at our last joint select board and FinCom meeting, we may ask the voters to reduce our contribution to 50%, which would give us more money to put into OPEB or other areas. But again, the fact that we have this OPEB liability trust fund account helps us with our bond rating when we go to sell bonds for short-term or long-term debt.
Okay. Yep. Excellent. Thank you.
All right. This Article 5, was put on here by the treasurer collector. And she asked that the town add this bylaw that we accept the local option of Mass General Law 44, Section 54. As it's written here, it says amended per Section 26 of Chapter 28 of the Acts of 2023 for the Great and General Court, which is the state legislature. This is also known as the Prudent Investor Rule, which seeks to optimize returns on trust fund monies. And it's just a way of updating the way things are done to allow the treasurer, whose main focus or function is to maintain cash flow, to get us better returns on any monies we have invested in our trust funds.
Perfect. And so this is a new allowance by the state.
Yeah, so it's like it says, it broadens the current available options for investing while still maintaining the responsibility of effectively managing safety, liquidity, and yield, right? Which is what the treasurer is supposed to do.
Right. Yeah, that sounds very good. It seems like it's just a really just
Housekeeping.
housekeeping, accepting a local option or accepting a state law to be
Right,
applied
just-
locally.
Trying to keep us up to par with what the state does, right?
Okay, Article 6.
Right, and this one, it's a transfer of $8,200 from free cash to purchase 2 mobile speed limit signs. There were people all over town, concerned about speeders. And the highway department, actually John Dudley, the acting highway supervisor, also spoke with the chief of police, Dave Kersey, and together they thought this would be a great way to be effective. And what this is, it's not a permanent sign, but these are, I believe they're solar, but they are battery operated radar units, which actually will mount on an existing speed limit sign. There's a couple of permanently mounted signs around, and I think what everybody agrees happened is, yeah, people see them, they know how fast they're going, and after a while they ignore them. And these signs can be moved around from place to place in town. So if there are complaints, the highway department and the police department can move them and mount them on a speed limit sign in a particular neighborhood on a particular street and leave them there for a week or 2 weeks or a month, however long they want to. And they can move them around and to different places in town. And again, as it says, it's these have shown to be effective to increase awareness and slow traffic, which in turn makes the road safer to travel for the public.
So these are like the digital signs you see when you're driving through, right? Like
Right. But instead of it being permanently mounted in a particular place, they can be moved from place to place around the town as needed.
Got it. Okay. Article 7.
We're going to pass over Article 7. Originally, this article was put in place to consider a replacement for a 30-year-old sanding truck, which is used by the highway department. But rather than, and before we knew how much we were going to have in free cash, the cost of this truck is going to be somewhere around $160,000. It'll be ready. It's being built now. It'll be ready in sometime, we think, in February. So it'll be put into use somewhere in the middle of the winter. But as it says here in the discussion, the town right now has about $1 million in American Rescue Plan Act funds, which we can use for pretty much anything except putting it in stabilization or using it for existing debt. So this we thought would, the select board voted, thought this would be a good use. This doesn't spending ARPA money does not require a town meeting vote. It just requires a vote of the majority of the select board. So we're going to use those funds rather than use these the free cash or taking out some kind of a lease or a debt, rather than financing it. We're going to use the ARPA funds for this purchase.
Perfect.
That's why we're passing over it. But
all right, thank you. Article 8.
all right, this is again free cash to purchase some computer software for the highway department. Since the Collins Center came in and did a study, they made a strong recommendation that the town purchase some software to start keeping track of man hours, manpower, and as it talks about here, with doing work orders when people are sent out, when workers are sent out to do work around town. It's a way to keep track of it. And we've talked about expanding the software to track plowing, salting, and other manpower use. And it may be expanded to go into parks and recreation, and not just highway. But right now, this is the first step, is we want to transfer $19,000 to allow us to consider a purchase.
Do you have a software lined up? Like
Yes.
what's it called? Just
I don't have it in front of me, but at the town meeting, the John Dudley will be there to add any more details.
okay, perfect. Thank you. Article 9.
And this is to purchase a fob-based key system for the interior doors in the library and town hall. Anybody who's walked into the town hall knows that you need a physical key to actually unlock and open the doors. And it was suggested last year by the fire chief to change it to the similar key fob door locks that we have on the fire station and the police station. It makes it more secure, because once somebody no longer should have access, they can just block their access with a computer rather than having to go collect a key from somebody. The other issue is it makes it much easier for them to increase access for public safety. So the cost of this is $12,000. We actually had applied for a grant that Maya was given out, but they weren't. They authorized this purchase last year. This year they refused, so we're using free cash to make the purchase.
We have a couple hands raised. Start with Elena.
I just wanted to clarify, when it says the library, is this the town hall annex that's in the old library building, or is it the Taft Library?
It is the annex. That's why I had my hand up also.
Okay.
Intent.
So it might be good to clarify that in the discussion, that it's
Okay.
the
So it's the
annex.
town hall. So it's the town hall annex next door.
Yes.
Right.
Right. So when I say library, I mean the former library, or the former building,
Right.
which is adjacent to town hall.
Yes, I think it's just it's helpful for us to clarify.
Yep.
Thank you.
And I just Selectman Cooter was able to get the name of that software from the last one. Simplicity People's GIS, in case anybody wanted to look into it. That's the name of the software from the previous article. So yeah, thank you. Article 10, it's a CPC article.
And you know, and I'm gonna say what I know, and I'm sure Ann will chime in.
We just have a hand raised.
Sure.
From the 10
Yeah,
minutes.
it's. I was going to comment on the discussion. It's not the Community Preservation Committee. Ann had suggested Ellen as one of the petitioners for the article be the person who is sponsoring it. Is that correct, Ann?
Yeah, I was just saying that under discussion, I mean, the community preservation is sponsoring it, like I'll read the motion, but the discussion will be from Ellen Agro.
All right, okay. Just wanted to clarify.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you have the slides, I can read through what Ellen has. I don't know if you want to do that or not.
I don't, but I will, okay. If you want to, if you want to send them to me, I can open them up and share them. I just don't have them.
Oh, okay.
Unless you want me to stop sharing for the moment, and you can share your screen.
I mean, that's part of the presentation at town meeting.
Okay.
I think, right, in favor of the article. Yep. So I mean,
so
let's just keep this discussion to what it's going to do, and like just what they're asking of the voters.
Okay.
Well, in that town meeting, we can present the whole presentation and have a lively discussion over it.
So should I explain this article?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this article is to get some funding to design a course on one of the town-owned properties. And then once the location is picked and a design is put together, then Ellen is going to get estimates for installation equipment and come back to the annual town meeting to get the rest of the funding.
Okay. So this 10,000 is for just
The
the
design,
design portion of it.
right? And it might be less than that, but 10,000 would be
Now,
enough.
is this for a specific specific plot of land, or is that part of what the process of the design team is going to figure out?
That's part of the process, but the property that looks the best right now to Ellen is the paddock property on 73 and 75 Providence Street.
Okay. So yeah, what is disc golf to those who might not know?
It's it doesn't take land clearing like a golf course. You can play it in the woods, and instead of hitting a ball into a hole, you're throwing a frisbee disc into a basket. And so the 18 holes are a basket.
Right. And if you have never seen this before, there is one over in Milford, right off the bike path down near Louisa Lake. They set up one there, and it looks really nice. If somebody wanted, people have never seen disc golf before and want to check it out, that's a great place
Yeah.
to check.
I mean, yeah, it's nice, all levels can play, all ages, and Ellen's
Right.
gonna have some pictures to explain what it is, so people have a better understanding.
Perfect, awesome. And look forward to that presentation. Cool. So, any questions, comments further on this one? Otherwise, let's move to 11. Okay. All right, this one is very involved.
So I will have a presentation, but you want me to just give you the general
Yeah,
discussion?
just give the
Okay.
general of what it's going to.
So what this is it's the Vandersloot property on 101 and 109 North Avenue, and it's to purchase a conservation restriction or the development rights on 116 acres. And this would be done jointly with Metacomet Land Trust, who has written a grant from the state. We're waiting for that money. And if this all passes, the Vandersloot's will give up their development rights so that the farm fields and the forest in the back will be preserved in perpetuity, and also will allow public access to the back of the property. And this abuts 2 other open space properties that trails will be able to hook into, and I have a map which can show all that.
Awesome.
And I think the one couple points is that the town would put $225,000 towards this project, but the value of the conservation restriction is 1.6 million. So it's a fraction of what it would cost to really buy the development rights. That was the one point. And what was the other point I was going to make? It's a great opportunity. Well, just that in terms of holding the conservation restriction, the Metacomet Land Trust and the Mendon Conservation Commission would hold it jointly, which is very nice because Metacomet Land Trust that's what they do, is monitor conservation restrictions. So it'd be very helpful to the town. And then just to clarify, the Vandersloot's will still own the property. The public will just have access to the property. And this doesn't include the buildings on the property. It's only the open space.
So, sorry. So, to be clear, we're putting the preservation restriction on while it's owned by the Vandersloot and the Vandersloot's, and the $225,000 is for future purchase, or
Nope, the 225,000 is to buy the development rights. They're
Okay.
giving up their development rights, which are really valuable. They're worth 1.6 million. And so the town's 225,000 would go towards purchasing the development rights. And then also all the engineering and legal work and the development of the conservation restriction and that, and it'll be jointly with funding that Metacomet Land Trust will be pulling in.
So
I explained it
basically-
pretty clearly in the presentation, but
Okay.
so, because
Okay.
it is kind of confusing, so that's why I really thought about how, she lay out. But what was your question?
Well, I was just, so I got like to get it down to a note card, So basically we are purchasing the right to develop the property so that nobody can develop it, is what it's like. A developer can't come in and develop it, is why we'd be purchasing the rights to the development.
Right. In perpetuity, and if the Vanderslooses sell the property, the next owners cannot develop it. But the public will have access on the trails in the back in perpetuity also.
Right. And if the town, which has the development rights, wanted to develop it, there's still a preservation restriction on it.
Right. So we're buying the development rights so that it cannot be developed.
Okay. Cool. I mean, I think that's in simplicity what's happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
And
then-
the public will have access, which they don't right now.
Right.
Which is
absolutely, yeah.
which
They'll
is
have
huge.
access to the fields and trails and got it.
Yep.
And you have a more full presentation on Monday, which I'm happy to see. Article 12, unless there's any questions or comments on the last one, sorry. No? Okay. Article 12.
We're going to pass over this. This was originally put on here to accept a new road. I think it was Pond Street. But in order for that process to occur, once the planning board approves it, it would go to the select board to be approved and put on the warrant after a public hearing. And the public hearing, we didn't have enough time to advertise to get it done for this meeting, which is a little bit earlier than what we would normally do in the fall. So we have to wait until May. So we're just passing over this article.
Okay. Thank you. I think is that the last article?
It is.
Okay. Well, thank you all so much for coming. This is going to be posted on the town's YouTube channel. What I'd like to do, if possible, if I have time before Monday, I'd like to go through and timestamp each article discussion so that we can, if somebody wants to view the video and wants to say, hey, what the heck is that? What the heck's happening with the Vandersloos property, or what the heck's happening with disc golf, they can go to that particular article and kind of view what's going on.
Can I add one comment, Tom?
Of course.
Yeah, on the two CPA articles, the town has the money, so this is just a transfer. It's not taking money from the budget or anything. It's in the CPA account. So I just want to clarify that.
Just to be clear, this isn't like raising money for appropriation. This is just transferring money from free cash. Just to be clear.
Or CPA cash.
Yes.
Sorry.
It's
CPA.
actually,
Not free cash, CPA cash.
yeah,
But
it's
not
better than, CPA cash is better than free cash because it was extra money the state gave us.
Right.
This was never our own. This is stuff they gave us to spend on things like this. So it's
now,
cool.
yeah, the CPA is to be used for which purposes?
Historical preservation, open space preservation, affordable housing, and recreation.
And so this isn't new. This is not new appropriated money. This isn't raising taxes. This is money. This is a bucket of money that we get from the state every year for participating in this program.
That and there's a levy also, and the combination of that money is in the CPA accounts. So it's there.
Cool. Right. So I have nothing else. Thank you so much, all. I I will see you all on Monday if I don't see you before then.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Bye.
Have a good night.